The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Victor here, back with Coffee with Experts. And today I actually brought you somebody who's very much well versed into SEO, who has been doing SEO for a couple of years already, started it all, has managed several different companies, and is right now the senior SEO manager at FlixBus. Some people call it Flix. I think the brand right now is only Flix, and this is popcorn barking. I think the brand right now is Flix, but some of you might know as FlixBus. At the end of the day, you probably, if you live in Europe, you probably catch a ride with FlixBus, and we're going to be talking more about it today. Lorenza, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Doing great and super happy to have this conversation.
Same. Especially because you are an SEO person. You have been doing SEOs officially since 2016, as far as I can understand, right? Almost 10 years. How it has changed so much, I believe, but at the same time, it hasn't. It's still all about ranking, all about showing yourself on Google, bringing authority to the page, everything that we are already very much tired of talking about. But I think before we go deeper into the tech part of things, into the more of the details themselves, why don't you talk about yourself? Why SEO? Why organic marketing? Why working in such an industry? And not only that, but if you can also walk us through how you got into Flix, that would be amazing.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how many people that work today in SEO really meant to work in SEO at the beginning.
Yeah.
For me,
Good point.
it was totally random, right? So I found again in 2016-ish or so an internship as SEO copywriter, and I was like, well, I love writing, so why not? And then one day I was taught about technical SEO a little bit, and well, a big bang happened into my brain. Literally, I was like, "Oh man, this is so interesting," and that's how it started. Like completely out of
That's
chance.
nice.
So, and let's say that years later, I still love this job because I mean it fits very well to how I am. Like I'm a curious person. I appreciate variety and diversity, and I really love learning new things, right? And you can see that, let's say, SEO is a very diverse discipline. Like it has everything from creative to technical with everything in between. Well, let's say the landscape tends to change a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention what is happening now with AI powered search, right?
Which we will be touching in a little bit. So hold that thought. But yeah.
So, I mean, there is always something new to learn. It's impossible to get bored of this job, basically. And that's
is
why
true.
I love it. And how I came to Flix. So yeah, my first years as an SEO were on agency side, which was great actually, because I had the opportunity to work on different clients, different projects, which means also different industries. And that was great. But at some point I was like, nice, but I want to, let's say, deep dive into things more. And on agency side, it's not always possible, right? Because you have so many things to do.
That is true.
So I started looking for a company, looking for in-house SEOs. And of course, I started looking at industries that I might like. Like many other people, of course, I love traveling. Plus, Flix is a tech company. So these two things together made it super interesting to me. And well, I must say, surprisingly, on a side, I got the job. And it was
That's so
nearly
nice.
2 years ago now. And I'm still very happy it happened because, again, it's very exciting to work on something I'm passionate about, which is, traveling. But also it's amazing to have the opportunity to work into a tech company because there is a very nice synergy between marketing and engineering and tech.
That is true.
And Flix, this is at its full power, let's say.
That is true. Look, let me ask you something that I think a lot of those that are watching and listening to us might also want to ask. Do you get discounts whenever you want to travel with Flix buses? Like, is there a company discount for you? Yeah, that's nice.
We do it.
That's nice. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. Everybody should have a a corporate discount for the places they're working. Let me go ahead and start then talking about the Lorenza SEO site first, and then we can go to the Flix one later. Sounds good? How many times did you hear throughout your career that SEO is dead? I don't think you I don't think you can
Well,
even count. You
if
would
I had a euro for every time I heard it, I would be probably, I don't know,
yeah. You
somewhere,
wouldn't be here on this conversation. You would be in the
I would be in
Bahamas and in
Zurich.
Ibiza. Yeah.
Exactly, somewhere like
Yeah.
this. So, well, I get the feeling, but I would rather say that SEO is not dying. SEO is
Mm-mm.
constantly evolving, is ever changing, right? I mean, SEO dies if you let it die, if you don't update, if you don't, find new ways to scale up and adapt your strategy. In that regard, yes, of course, SEO can be dead, but
Mhm.
as a discipline per se is not dying. It's just changing.
That's for sure. And the AI overview part of thing, it is usually whenever somebody asks like, is SEO dead? They start talking about AI. And I think throughout the past 3 months, 6 months, we had more people talking about how they are actually working together, how they're actually a complement of each other. You have the AI to help you with some of the things. Maybe the overview might be a problem for those companies that are 100% dependent on their organic traffic, but there are ways where you can push that AI to help you. Are you right now inside of Flix using AI with the overviews, with the LLMs to make sure that Flix pops up on the replies of such AIs? Is this already something that you're working on, or it's going to be more for the next year?
No, no, no. We are absolutely working on it. So we're dedicating like a significant part of our time to research on the topic. So we are investigating, first of all, the best ways to, let's say, to monitor what is the landscape and how is this landscape evolving, and where are we, let's say, on in this new world of AI powered search, right? So we have several research work streams, but we are also actively doing some tests already, and let's say that we are very much already looking into what the future will be. So just to mention a couple of things, AI mode, which is now available in the US. We're very much looking at that. But also, let's say, AI agents. So maybe you have heard of OpenAI's Operator
Of
or
course.
Google's Project Mariner. Okay,
Yeah,
basically,
that's Google was the first one that I heard about. Yeah.
so basically, in the near future, people will be able to, for example, purchase bus tickets or organize a trip from the start to the end, just prompting.
That's so nice. Not gonna lie, that's so nice. I think I'm very much looking forward to that future where I can just take my phone and say, hey, I need to go from Porto to Lisbon in 3 hours, get me a bus ticket and get me an Uber and do it all for me, please.
So, I mean, this is going to be a reality very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say that next year it is already too late, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Next year's already too late. What else in your career, Lorenzo, did you feel like it was an update or die moment where something was brought to your attention and then you were like, my God, I need to start learning about this ASAP before the rest of the market catches up or before we lose traffic to somebody else? And it doesn't have to be a moment inside of Flix, can be a moment across your entire career.
Well, I would say a great example is now, actually.
Yeah, it is. That's true. That is true. It's a good answer.
Probably this is the best example, because yeah, again, talking about agents, I don't want to repeat myself. So for example, Google is starting rolling this out on for example, local appointment reservations or tickets for events, right? But it's so easy to just broaden it to other types of tasks. So this requires trying to understand what are the factors that facilitate, let's say, these agents into accessing your website and completing the tasks. And this involves a whole new set of technical requirements, perhaps. And this is something that, I mean, was not even a thing last year.
3 months ago wasn't a thing. At the beginning of the year wasn't a thing. And it is so crazy how rapidly it's evolving. I think this is actually a good topic for us to continue on because you and I are both in Europe. You're in Italy, I'm in Portugal, and we're talking about countries with a lot of elderly people. A lot of people who are not going to be utilizing AI to book their bus tickets because they don't know how to. They're scared or even something very much out of their reach. So, of course, this is actually something that helps the SEO stay alive as long as people are still not very much well versed into technology, into digital things, the simple links and articles in Google search will always be king. But we're also talking about your role, which is an international one. You're not only talking about Italy, you're not only handling Italy. So you're handling different personas, targets, ways of purchasing tickets, ways of interacting with Flix, ways of even getting to know about Flix. My question to you is, what were your first challenges when you started working internationally for the same brand? Is this a thing like, do you literally have several, I don't know, Kanbans of different countries and then you have different projects and different campaigns? Or do you try and combine the most that you can across different countries?
Okay, that's a great question. So, of course, the scale was a challenge because we're talking
Yeah.
about 50 domains and
Oh, wow.
growing, right? And the SEO team at Flix is not huge. It's just well organized. So
That's right.
that's the main thing. So the big challenge was again the scale and also having to deal with different markets. So what we basically do is to overcome this complexity, let's say, is three things. Is define an MVO, which is an acronym I just made up that stands for minimum viable optimization. So what are the elements that must be on each and every of our websites, right? So what cannot be missed? What is the minimum SEO we can do? And by minimum, I say minimum, but it's something that is already good. It's already quite sufficient, right? And then there is a second layer, which is about clustering the different websites based on the level of penetration and maturity of our brand in a specific market. This is because, for example, if we talk about Germany, where FlixBus is the market leader, right? People think bus, but people think FlixBus. It's almost a synonym. Okay, of course, in this type of markets, you don't have to do much, perhaps. You just have to defend your performance because you are already kind of at the ceiling of what you can,
Hold the position, right? Hold the first one. That's what you have to do. Hold it.
Exactly. But then conversely, on other markets, FlixBus is very new. So think about India. India was launched last year. And of course, in new market that has very well-established players, you need a whole different set of actions. So you need a different strategy, right? So let's say that defining different market tiers, if you will, and actions that would be needed to best perform there was another very important thing. So first layer is the minimum viable optimization. Second thing is defining actions based on the brand maturity, the website maturity in a market. And last layer is specific or targeted local actions, if they can be, let's say, rewarding, of course. So if we found out that having a blog, for example, could be particularly beneficial for a particular market, for improving performance in that particular market, then we go for that. If we find that PR can be very promising in a market, we go for that. But it's not let's say, something that we decide upfront, right? It's something that we need to evaluate, let's say, on top of the first two layers.
Does cultural and linguistic nuances also influence how you're going to be working across different markets? You mentioned India, for example. I imagine it must be very different when, I don't know, handling the same things in Germany. Let's talk about Brazil, for example. Flix is also in Brazil right now, right? Yeah, but it's something new. It was like, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
3 years
Something
ago.
like this. Yes. And it's also totally different market, totally different strategy altogether. Do you get your belly freezing and chilling whenever you're like, oh my God, I need to talk to a different culture altogether right now? How do you prepare yourself to get into a new market?
Well, first we do a lot of research. So not just us as SEO, because of course there is a whole side of it, which
Naturally.
is understanding how people search, what people value, what people are used to, because it's also very important to study very well what competitors, which are established in that market,
Perfect.
are doing. But also there is a lot of UX research upfront, and if there is a local team, they can help a lot with cultural nuances and so on. So there is a lot of preparation in this regard, of course. And then what we try to do again is to really localized. So there is a big distinction between just translating a whole website for a new market and say, okay, that's fine, that's good, and localizing it, right? To understand what can work, let's say, across all websites, but you also need to understand what has to be taken into account for that specific market. Then again, ideally, also the UX should be localized.
I
right?
agree.
The thing is that it's not always possible. But if you already, let's say, make some small tweaks on the website and localize the content, you can already have great results. And let's say to do this, it's essential to have, let's say, good localization partners. At Flix, for example, we have an internal team for localization, but there are also specialized agencies offering this type of services, and they are excellent partners usually.
That's great to know. As you said, I was actually having a conversation yesterday with the same mindsets. A lot of companies are only translating. They only go to Google Translate or to ChatGPT and they just translate and themselves have a new website. But no, you need to understand things that a bot translating would never understand. What drives the customer in this offer market? What are the terms that they utilize? How willing are them to literally buy on a website or on a chatbot or so many things. So many things. It's way more than changing the language. Is there another difficulty, or let's just say, is there another technical SEO issue that you see a lot of companies still doing the same thing, the same mistake whenever they are jumping countries, not language related, but something else altogether?
Something technical, which
Something
is
technical, yes, yeah.
something that is like super painful
Uh,
and also super typical. Maybe my SEO colleagues will roll eyes because they know, but it's never bad to repeat things. The hreflang tag.
Okay, that's a good one. That's actually a very great one.
I mean, it is as crucial as tricky. So for the non-SEO people, the hreflang tag is an an HTML attribute that basically tells search engines, okay, this web page is meant to target this country and this
Yeah,
language.
this language.
And it's crucial to have this tag implemented on all web pages that have, let's say, different local versions, right? And well, there is a number of things that can go wrong when implementing this tag, and usually when there are like international targeting issues, I mean, the hreflang tag is the guilty guy. So first error in many occasions, I noticed that this is implemented, for example, only on the homepage, but this tag should be on each and every page of the website that is translated. And also all the different versions of the web page should point to the other versions, because otherwise, if they are not reciprocal, these tags don't work. And let's say search engines just get lost and say, okay, this signal is not, is not reliable, is not valid, and they're just not caring. Another thing that oftentimes goes, let's say, unnoticed and forgotten is, okay, you have two ways of adding the hreflang tag. So the first one is adding the language code only, and that is mandatory. The other one is adding the country and the language. My suggestion is to always add the country and the language, because assuming that, for example, today your brand has only one website in Spanish language, which is for Spain, and you just put Spanish, right, in your hreflang tag. Okay, one day you open to whole Latin America. So you open a website for Peru, a website for Chile, a website for Mexico. Okay, your new website might have hard times at the beginning because Google will tell, but there is this much, older and authoritative website in Spanish. So I will
why bother?
Exactly, I will just serve this result to people in Latin America. But you don't want to, have users on the wrong website. Also because think about the currency, right? They don't want to see prices in Europe.
Euros instead of pesos, yes?
Yeah, so just go for country and language, and you will not be wrong or have troubles later. Last but not least is, careful with adding the right codes. Like a very tricky one is UK. Like UK, you think United Kingdom, but in the world of hreflang tags, UK is Ukraine. While GP is united.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That
and
is
this class
true.
A class.
Oh, wow. Right now, I think some folks are utilizing UA to talk about Ukraine, which I get you. Then UK looks, it can be for both, right? It can be for both. It makes sense for both. It makes sense for Ukraine, makes sense for United Kingdom.
The thing is that in this context, UK is Ukraine and GB is Great Britain. So
So, and it won't change. So people, get a
exactly.
hold of yourself. You need to understand this. It didn't change. It won't change. It's been like that for a couple of years already, right? There's no more room for excuses. You talk a lot about technology and about technical and about data itself, and I know that you're very much an advocate for SEO with data. In regards to right now, even AI, we have a lot of people, a lot of companies talking about how AI can enhance SEO content,
Mhm.
keyword research, even a lot of things. How are you in regards to these tools that can leverage Flix? How are you utilizing them in your day-to-day basis, especially in the international discussion that we're giving you around? Let me actually re-question myself. Do you utilize ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, to study for such markets and then you get an idea? Is this a part of your process whenever you're going for a new one? Is it also being utilized for, okay, I don't know the keywords that they utilize, so let me go to GPT and ask for the keywords. How is it that Lorenza is utilizing ChatGPT? And again, can be another one, but how is that you are utilizing it in your day-to-day basis?
Okay, so well, besides obvious productivity tasks, I mean,
Which we love using. It's
exactly,
it's it's every
which we love and cannot live without
exactly.
at this point. So, well, for keyword research, maybe I use AI tools to get an initial set of seed keywords, but nowhere I'm using it for calculating search volumes or I don't know. Please, ChatGPT, create a good list of keywords I should use for my website, right? So for this, I still rely on, let's say, the good old tools, which are always super, super valid. So SEMrush, Ahrefs. So it depends a little bit on what one is preferring. But yeah, I mean, ChatGPT and other tools can be useful to get like an initial, let's say, inspiration, an initial direction. But then when it comes to, let's say, analytical tasks, I would suggest people rely on, let's say, on yourself and your experience. Also, if you have troubles with a keyword research in a language that you're not familiar with, you can even use simple tools like there is a function on Google Sheets that lets you translate terms into English quite easily. So, or
That's
you
true.
can use AI. So eventually you can use these tools to see if your research made sense. But yeah, I would not just delegate this whole keyword research let's say task to an AI tool. Personally, I think that AI tools are very handy when it comes to content creation or drafting. But again, it's very important that you provide, let's say, some clear instructions. And if your content has to contain some information, it's essential that you make sure to provide like correct and reliable information, because we know that LLMs tend to make up things, and even
Hallucinate.
AI tools that can access the internet. I mean, yeah, they can have more up-to-date information, but they are not always accurate. So let's say that if you have clear instructions, clear and reliable information, then AI tools can help you, for example, turning an idea into a nice content draft that you can then develop or translate or so. Another thing that at this current stage would not suggest doing is using AI tools for translations without having somebody check that translation. Our localization team has made like an excellent research last year to understand what LLMs perform better on translation. And also it was very interesting to see that none of them was perfect, but of course, but there were very, very impressive differences in performance with different languages. Let's say Gemini was better in French, but not so good with German. For
That's a
just
nice study. It's a very
that was
nice study. And
yeah.
then can you tell us the result, like generally speaking, talking about this language itself, which one was like the best overall? As you said to yourself, there was not a single one who was like perfect, clear winner. But maybe if we're talking about English speaking markets and Spanish markets, which one was the best?
So from what I recall, probably the one that got, let's say, better results over different languages was Gemini. But
Okay.
again, this was last year, so who knows
Yeah,
what?
so much has changed.
Yeah.
The models have changed. Right now, I was actually last week watching a video about mundane tasks comparing Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Grok. I believe in the study, Grok wasn't even around, the one from X. And in
Yeah.
this video, which was live last week, Grok was in second place. ChatGPT first, Grok second, Gemini third, Perplexity was the last. Always changing. They're always changing what's going to be about. Maybe next month there will be another AI that'll be even better, even more focused for, I don't know, content generation, for writing, for whoever knows what. Right? And this is coming back to the beginning of our conversation. It's always evolving. SEO is always changing. We're always gonna have something new to talk about. And this brings me to one of my last questions, keeping to AI. We were now only discussing how you're utilizing it to leverage, how you're leveraging it to better do your own things inside of Flix, how localization is important, but you should always have somebody to screen the information that you're putting on. What are the other metrics beyond rankings and traffic that us marketeers should be using to measure AI-driven success?
So it depends a little bit on what we mean by AI-driven success. So
Good point.
if we're talking about, let's say, leveraging AI to scale up SEO, if we mean this, then I would say that the metrics remain largely the same, plus perhaps productivity.
Oh yeah.
Or the budget that you don't spend on agencies or on copywriting, for example. Because, like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who or what, for example, wrote a content or optimized the page. As long as the job is done well and you have performance, how you did it does not matter. So the good old metrics are still valid, right? Conversely, if we mean what are some new metrics to consider in the era of AI-powered search, then yeah, there is a lot to talk about here. Again, we are at the very beginning of this, but there are a couple of things that I would suggest taking into account already. So first is what is, let's say, the amount of searches which are relevant for your brand having, for example, AI overviews.
Oh,
This is
perfect.
very first important thing. And then, is your website, is your brand mentioned at all?
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, in which order? Is it like the top alternative for a specific topic,
That's a good
or
one.
the least preferred
The
alternative?
bonus, like if nothing works, try this. We
Exactly.
don't want to be that.
If you think about it, if I search, for example, for, best ways to go from Boston to New York, what will Google return into an AI overview, or even ChatGPT will be a list of options, right? So you can see it's a SERP within a search result, a
Oh
SERP
my.
section, if you will. So that is relevant. But then there is another layer here, which is, what is the sentiment? How is your brand presented? This is very important, because in the era of blue links, you just have this title, this description. So it's you, let's say, presenting your brand to the user that can decide to click or not. Here you have an AI that takes into account a variety of different sources, including your website, but also including Reddit, including Quora, including Trustpilot, including who knows what,
Who
right?
knows what?
So you can be there, you can be mentioned, but maybe you can read something like, yes, but this brand has mixed, let's say, ratings. So this is a new let's say a new factor to take into account, definitely. So I would say presence of, for example, AI overviews. If your brand is mentioned or quoted in AI overviews, or also in conversations talking about different AI tools, what is the sentiment? And then another interesting thing I would suggest to start checking is, where are these, let's say, AIs taking information about your brand? Now, it's not very easy to do on your own, but there are tools, for example, Otterly or Peak or Profound, that can give you this information. So they can tell you, okay, this result about your brand was taking info from, for example, Reddit and this other vertical forum. This is very interesting, because there you can already understand where to focus your attention.
That is true. It's so lovely to see how well versed you are into this topic. Like it's called a coffee with experts for a reason, and you are an expert for bringing so many ideas and so many ways that SEO people should start looking at their AI overviews and AI queries and everything else. So I'm pretty glad that we had all of these questions, but the time has come for the last one. So just recapping it all for those with us. We talked about how you're handling Flix's operation multi-language style, how Flux is going to new markets, not Flux, sorry, Flix. How Flix, I'm always going to think about FlixBus first because it's here in Portugal, it's what's the lettering on the buses is. I'm really sorry. So we went about it all. We know more about your career. We know more about how you, as a lot of us, never expected to come into the SEO market, but here we are years later. So my last question to you is, what's next, Lorenza? I know that you are expecting a baby and very much happy for you. Congratulations on that. So I'm pretty sure that what's next is being a mom. Great. I'm wishing you a really great time while you're doing so, but afterwards, after SEO is back in your mind as a thing of your day-to-day basis, what's next for you? What's next for Flix that we can talk about? Do you have anything in regards to your expectations for the future that you would like to share? And advice for those that are listening and watching as they're starting in their SEO career? The mic is yours. Feel free to close this episode the best way that you can.
Okay, so well, what I envision for the next year and perhaps 2 years is for sure a lot of research and a lot of testing, okay? Because, I mean, true, some SEO best practice still hold true, will probably always hold true, but now it's really time to figure things out. And the research is not something that is gonna last for 6 months or 1 year. I think that like nowadays it should be something that should be the part of the job of the SEO team anyway. But let's talk more broadly about search because this is gonna impact SEA as well, of course.
Sure.
So for sure, let's say a continuous work stream focused at researching and testing, that's for sure. And one thing I envision in the future is we will have another channel. So the channel will be AI chatbots basically, because it's true that if you check, for example, the market share and you compare Google with OpenAI or other let's say AI tools, of course Google is still
A
dominating.
monopoly. Yes, still very much monopoly,
It's
for
still a
sure.
monopoly. But if you remove Google for a second from the picture, you can see how the use of these technologies is growing. And it is just exponential. Before you mentioned, elder people, younger people. Okay, so just I think that my daughter that will born this year, probably in 15 years time, will say, "Mom, what is Google?"
100% with you. 1,000% with you. I'm very much looking forward for that moment. Yeah.
So what I would suggest is start thinking about a new channel. This will be basically all AI tools outside from the Google universe.
That's a great one. Lorenza, thank you so much for being here, for sharing, for giving us hope of a better future where AI will be even better, will be more around us. I'm a huge AI guy. I try to push it as much as I can inside my house. But it's still, as you said so yourself, it's still, if we take Google if we remove Google from the equation, it is growing. And it's growing so much in 15 years. What's going to be the name of your daughter? Do you know already? Have you ever?
We have a short list, but no decision was made.
I see. And that's one of the hardest decisions that you will ever make in your entire life. So
Perhaps I will take, advantage of AI tools to get some suggestions, but who knows?
look, if I were to have, where do you pretend to raise her? In Italy as well? Yeah,
Yeah,
so in Italy, because your name is very good as well. Like, what's a common Italian name for girls? I know so many of them, but like
Trends, Sophia. Sophia, I guess.
Sophia is an amazing name. Sophia is an amazing name. Okay, so let's pick Sophia for this episode then. So I'm pretty much looking for the moment where Sophia, name pending, will come to Lorenza and say like, "Mommy, did you spend your entire day working on this thing called Google? What was it?" You see, we're gonna go for another revolution in how things are handled right now. 15 years ago, you and I, we were utilizing Yahoo. 15 were, I think, not even 15, 20 years. We were utilizing Yahoo. Google wasn't a thing. And then Google became a thing. And then Bing became a thing. And then nobody uses Bing anymore. And it's back to Google. So who knows what's going to come? What's going to be the SERP that Sophia will be utilizing in the future? That's the beauty of it all, for sure. Well, Lorenza, once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here and sharing your story. We at DWS wish you all the best, and Sophia all the best as well. Hope that you have an amazing time off taking care of your kid, that she grows amazingly well. I can see that you're going to be a very good mom. And for the rest of us, you know where to find Lorenza's links down in the description below. Check her out, check her LinkedIn. Do have your next trip with FlixBus in case you're on the lookout for a bus from point A to point B. I have been in several of them. It was always a great experience. Lorenza, this has been us. Thank you so much for joining the show. See you the next time, everyone. Bye-bye.